Okay, so this is the course Discrete Mathematics. So in this course, we will mainly follow this book, Discrete Mathematics and its Application by Rosen. Few chapters from this Rosen I will cover. So we'll start with the logic and proofs. Okay. So this is the foundation of logic and proofs. Okay, so we'll start with this definition. What is a proposition? Okay, a proposition is a declarative sentence that is either true or false, but not both. Okay, so a proposition is a statement, a declarative sentence that is either true or false. It cannot be both. For example, John dislikes mathematics. This is one statement. It may be true, it may be false, but cannot be both at the same time. Napoleon is dead. 4 plus 5 greater than 3. So this is a statement. For this statement, this is true statement. Napoleon is dead. This is true statement. The war will end on 4 March 2045. This is a statement. So this statement can be assigned only two values. Either it is true or it is false. Okay, so interrogative statements, exclamatory statements, imperative statements, these are not used in logic. Say for example, these questions, are you Indian? So this is not a proposition. Watch out. These are not propositions. X plus y equal to 2. Domain of x and y are not specified. Okay, so these are not propositions. Here another example, all Hignals are prognals. Okay, so this is also not a proposition because we don't know the meaning of Hignals and prognals. Okay, so we do not know what they mean. So it can become a proposition if Hignals and prognals are defined. Same for this. It's x and y, their domains are not specified. Okay, so these type of statements are not propositions. So he enjoys mathematics. This is also not a proposition. If I this is actually a variable. This may be maybe many person. So this acts as a variable here. So if we replace he by some name, then it becomes a statement. John enjoys mathematics. So this is a statement, but he enjoys mathematics. This is not a proposition. Okay, because he here acts as a variable which can take values from a domain of names, domain of nouns. Okay. X plus 7 equal to 10. This is also not a proposition as the domain of x is not defined. Now, if I say x plus 7 equal to 10, where x equal to 4, this is a proposition. Although this proposition, when you put 4, this is a false proposition. So this is a proposition, but it is a false proposition. So proposition either can take it can take either true or false. These two values. So propositional calculus, this is the area of logic that deals with proposition. It was first developed systematically by Aristotle, means 2300 years ago, more than 2300 years ago. And a system of manipulating symbols instead of words, say manipulating words, is devised by Boole and Bain in the 19th century. So this propositional calculus deals with two things: propositional variables or statement variables, P, Q, R. These each are propositions. Each symbol represents a proposition. And truth value, true or false. For true, I will use T, false, F. Two levels. So propositional calculus deals with propositional variables along with truth values. Okay, so there are two types of propositions, prime proposition and compound proposition. So prime proposition is single statement, a simple statement. And this is compound proposition. It is made of two or more propositions. Okay, the proposition its truth value is either true or false, but not both for prime proposition as well as for compound proposition. Truth value is either true or false, cannot be both. Okay, so propositions are of two kinds: prime proposition, compound proposition. Okay, prime proposition is single statement, compound proposition consisting of more than one statement. Let us give some examples. So in this example, identify which of the propositions are prime propositions and which are compound propositions. So in 2015, Barack Obama was the president of the US. This is a prime proposition. 5 is an even number or 17 is an even number. So this is compound proposition. Okay, so this proposition, this statement consisting of two prime propositions. 5 is an even number, 17 is an even number, this or this. So this is called compound proposition. So this proposition, this is a proposition, it may be true, it may be false. So in this case, it is false proposition. What time is it? This is not a proposition, because this cannot take two values, true or false. Okay, so this is just asking something. It is raining right now and I am wet. So it is having two propositions. It is raining right now and I am wet. So this is compound proposition. Okay. So there is another type of thing we call paradox. A paradox is a statement that is apparently contradicts itself and yet might be true. Okay, propositions, we have said proposition is a statement, declarative statement that can take either true value or false value. A paradox is a statement that apparently contradicts itself and yet may be true. For example, Liar's paradox, say this is the proposition. P is the proposition, this statement. This proposition is false. Okay, so so if you assign this, if you try to assign this true value, what it says, if this is true, this statement is true, means this proposition is false. So it is contradicting. Here it is saying this proposition, in this statement it is saying it is this proposition is false. If I give this P to be true value, then this proposition is false. Okay, giving true, that this proposition to be true, it has to be false. So we are getting a contradiction. So trying to assign this statement as true or false leads to a contradiction. If P is in fact true, then proposition is false. This is true statement, means proposition is false. If the proposition P is given assignment false, if it is false, then this proposition is false, this is wrong. That means this proposition must be true. So we are getting a contradiction. Proposition false, we are getting proposition must be true. Proposition true, P true, it must be the case, proposition is false. So we are getting a contradiction. This is called Liar's paradox. Another example, Pinocchio paradox. Okay, so you may know this, this Pinocchio is a wooden puppet who dreams of one day becoming a real boy. And Pinocchio has a certain feature. Whenever Pinocchio tells a lie, its nose grows. Pinocchio had such a nose which, when he tells a lie, his nose grows. Okay, so we get a paradox when Pinocchio says this statement. We make this statement: "My nose is growing." Okay, so Pinocchio is saying my nose is growing. So Pinocchio's nose is, so if this is true, this statement is true, That means Pinocchio's nose is growing. If and only Pinocchio is saying lie, so he is saying my nose is growing. This to be true, it must be the case he is saying he is lying, because his nose grows whenever he says lie. Okay, so Pinocchio's nose is growing if and only he is saying he is lying. He's saying whatever he is saying, it is actually false. So you are getting Pinocchio is saying my nose is growing, and Pinocchio is saying my nose is growing. Therefore, Pinocchio's nose is growing if and only if it is not growing. We are getting like a contradiction. Pinocchio's nose is growing. This is true whenever Pinocchio is saying lie. That means his nose is actually not growing. So you are getting Pinocchio's nose is growing if and only it is not growing. We are getting a contradiction. So this paradox was it was framed by Veronique Eldridge Smith in 2010 when she was only 11 years old. Okay, another example, this is Plato's proposition. So you check whether it is a paradox or not. I know one thing that I know nothing. Okay, you check. This is also sometimes called Socratic paradox. I know one thing that I know nothing. I know one thing means I know one thing. Means if this statement is true, that means I know one thing. And also I'm saying I know nothing. So if this is true, that means I know one thing that I know nothing. So it is giving a contradiction. Okay, you think whether it is a paradox, it is you can treat it as a paradox or not. You think about it. Plato's proposition. Is Plato's proposition a paradox? This is Plato's proposition. It is also sometimes called Socratic paradox. This Russell's paradox, I will discuss it later. So actually, let me state that Russell's paradox says, suppose I have a set consisting of sets X such that X does not belongs to X. It should be not belongs to, okay, X does not belongs to X. So this is a collection of sets. This set is consisting of set X if and only if X does not belongs to X, does not belong to itself. Okay, so if you try to give judge whether X belongs to this set or not, you can check. You are getting this type of contradiction. Means this is not, X does not belongs to X. Okay, so this set contains those elements which does not belongs to the set A. Those set which does not belongs to, which does not belong to itself. If the set does not belong to itself, this set X does not belongs to itself, then it is in this set. And if this set belongs to this set, then it is not in this set. Okay, so you think why you get a paradox here. So this is called Russell's paradox. There is another problem, Barber's paradox. You go through this. Okay, you think why it is a paradox or why it is not a paradox. Now let us discuss logical connectives. A propositional calculus, as I said, it is dealing with propositions together with truth assignments. Okay, and from one proposition I can make using these connectives, logical connectives, I can find compound, construct compound propositions. So logical operations, these are these connectives, logical connectives are logical operations used to combine propositions using a mathematical table, truth table. Okay, so the negation, if P is a proposition, negation of P we denote by this So these are standard notation. We are going to follow these, okay, throughout the course. So negation of P, truth table is P is true or false. P is this column is true, false. Negation of P is simply not P. That means this is false, this is true. Conjunction is and, P and Q. Okay, so this is truth table. You construct a truth table: true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. These are P and Q. Then P and Q will be when both true, then only it will be true. Otherwise, it is false. Okay, disjunction P or Q, P or Q. So if one of them is, if both are true or one of them is true, then it is true. Okay, so true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false, and this P or Q will be, this is true, this is also true. If one of them is true, it is true, otherwise it is false. If both of them is false, then only it is false. Exclusive disjunction, this is P XOR Q. Okay, so it is P or Q exclusive OR. Okay, P or Q, but not both. Okay, so it is the same table, but means P or Q, right? P or Q. If so, this is true, true. Both are true. This is false. One is true, one is false. Then it is true. Both false, it is false. So it is essentially exclusive XOR, exclusive OR or XOR. We define it to be this way: P or Q and negation of P and Q. Okay, P or Q and negation of both P and Q. This is how exclusive OR, exclusive disjunction is. Disjunction means OR. Okay, it is defined in this way. Implication. This is conditional statement. We let P implies Q to denote P. If P, then Q. P implies Q. If P, then Q. Okay, so P implies Q. This is false only when if P means if P is true but Q is false. In that case only it is false. Otherwise it is always true. If P, then Q. So P implies Q. This proposition, this implication is false. When it will be false? If P is true but Q is false. If P is true, then Q must be true. This is the thing. Okay, if P is false, then if P is true, then Q is false. That is forbidden only. Okay, so if you construct the table true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false, then P implies Q. Whenever P true but Q false, so only this case it is false. Other cases it is always true. Okay, P implies Q. When Q is false and P is true, in that case only it is false. Otherwise, it is always true. For example, falling in poison ivy. This is one example illustration. Consider PB the proposition: I fell into poison ivy, and Q, I have a rash. Now, consider this implication: P implies Q. So it is a statement: if I fail into poison ivy, then I will get a rash. Okay, this is the statement. P. This implication would be if I fail in poison ivy, if P, then Q. Okay, so P can be treated as your cause and Q is effect. In this implication, P is cause, Q is effect. So if I fail in poison ivy, then I will get a rash. Okay, so from personal knowledge we know that if I fail in poison ivy, then means if P is true, it is always the case I get a rash. So if P is true, then Q is true. Okay, so you get when both are true, then P implies Q. This is true. So this is a true statement. Whenever I fail in Poisson IV, then I get a rash. So if P is true, Q is true, then this statement is true. This is the actual scenario. Now, if you have a rash, that means Q is true. Q is I have a rash. If you have a rash, but we did not step into Poisson IV, that means P is false. Q is true, but P is false. But the statement might still be true because maybe in some other way I get this rash. So I got a rash, but I didn't step into Poisson IV. So the statement Q is true, P is false. But still, this statement can be true. I am getting rash, maybe some other reason. Okay, I didn't step into the Poisson IV, but still I may get rash with some other cause, by some other reason. Okay, so the statement P implies Q may be true in this case. When Q is true and P is false, Q is true, in that case the statement may be true. Okay, so if you didn't fall into Poisson IV, that means P is false and I didn't get a rash. Q is also false. Okay, this is also a possibility. I didn't fail into Poisson IV, so I didn't get a rash. Okay, so this is also a true case. Both are false. In that case, it is also true. Okay, that is also possible case. The only impossibility is when you came into the contact with Poisson IV, that means P is true, but you didn't get a rash. Okay, I step into Poisson IV, P is true, but I didn't get a rash. Q is false. So in that case, this is impossibility case. That in that case, this statement P implies Q must be false. Okay, so P true, Q false. Okay, P true, Q false. In that case, this is false. Okay, so this is the implication with this example, this illustration of this implication. Okay, so this in several way we can means several statements implies this P implies Q. This P implies Q, this may be read as any of the following form. So P implies Q, first we learned P implies Q means if P then Q. Or I say P implies Q. Or I say Q if P. P is sufficient for Q. Q is necessary for P. P only if Q. Only if Q. This is if P then Q, and also it is same as P only if Q. Okay, so when this type of statements are there, we say P is sufficient for Q or Q is necessary for P. Okay, P is sufficient for Q or we say Q is necessary for P. That also stands for this implication. So implication essentially, as I said, implication P implies Q. P can be think of as a cause and Q is effect. And this P in this implication, P is called the hypothesis or antecedent or premise. This is called, these are separate names. So hypothesis, antecedent or premise. And Q is called conclusion or consequent. Okay, conclusion or consequent. Also, this also stands for Q unless negation P. This also same as P implies Q. So this and these have the same truth values. Okay, so Q unless negation of P. Let me check this how I illustrate why this will be equal to this. This implies this. This is same as this. So here Q unless negation of P. This is my statement. Q unless negation P. This is my statement. Now, when you try to give this statement the true assignment, the truth value true, okay, Q unless negation of P. Suppose this statement is true. This means what? Means I can think it as a loop. Okay, so Q unless this. So as long as this is false, Q is true. So this statement is true means negation of, as long as negation of, if negation of P is false, then Q is true. This means that if negation of P is false, then Q must be true. So think it as a loop. Q unless negation P. And that means as long as negation of P is false, Q must be true. Now negation of P is false is same as P is true. So if P is true, then Q is true. So P implies Q. So it is same as Q implies P implies Q. Okay, that is the statement. This statement essentially says the Q unless negation of P. When you try to give it a false value, this is false. This will be false when P is true but Q is false, and true otherwise. Always true otherwise. Okay. Oh, you do the reasoning by yourselves. Okay. Q unless negation of P. Sometimes thinking it as a loop, it helps. Unless negation of P means if as long as negation of P is P is false, this is true. Okay. This statement true means this. And if you want to assign this statement the truth value false, then this is how it is executed. Okay, so Q unless negation of P, this is same as P implies Q. They will have the same truth table. Okay, now suppose I have given this proposition and you are asked to decide whether the proposition is true or false. Okay, if the moon is made of cheese, then Socrates is Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, if the moon is made of cheese, then the Socrates is the Prime Minister of Canada. So this one, the moon is made of cheese. This is your antecedent, and consequent is Socrates is Prime Minister of Canada. So if you say the moon is made of cheese, this statement is P, and Socrates is Prime Minister of Canada. This is Q. That means we have P implies Q. Now, what about this P statement? This P statement is false. The moon is made of cheese. That is actually false. And Q, Socrates is Prime Minister of Canada. That is also false. So whenever both P and Q are false, then implication P implies Q, that also having the true value. So implication table. This implication. When both are false, it is true. Only this means all the cases it is true except this case. P is in this implication when P is true but Q is false. That case cannot occur. This is false. Okay. So when both P and Q are false, this P is the moon is made of cheese, and Q is Socrates is Prime Minister of Canada. Both are false statements. Therefore, the implication must be true. Okay. So this is the truth value of this implication. Okay. So this is essentially your propositional language. This is essentially an artificial language. Artificial language. And the conditional statements, suppose we have a conditional statement P implies Q, it specifies a truth value. It is not based on English usage. Say for example, this type of statement means in this type of statements, in this implication, this is just artificially I am saying P implies Q. Okay, so it does not bother about the correct means we use this conditional statement of a more general sort than we use in English. Okay, in English, this statement is actually meaningless. But if we go by logic, this statement is actually false. Because P is false, Q is false. Therefore, by the implication truth table, P implies Q. This is true. Okay, so that is why it is called this propositional language is an artificial language, and we use conditional statements of a more general sort than we use in English. Okay. And here the conditional statement P implies Q, it is assigned a truth value. Okay, it is not based on English uses. Okay, it will be either true or false. And in many programming language, this implication we use in a different way. It is different from that used in logic. Say for example, in programming language, you use this type of thing. If P, then S. P is the proposition and S is some program statement, a program segment. So in programming language, it means in most of the programming language, so it is means this if P is true, then S is executed. This program statement is executed, and if P is false, it is not executed. So it is not. It is different from this use in logic. In logic, this is statement. This is also statement, and this whole statement, this implication, it is essentially having only two values, either true or false. Okay, this is a different thing. It is not just like in programming language, it is execution of this program statement. If P is true, then execute the this segment, program state segment. Otherwise, do not execute. Okay. Okay, this is another thing, converse, contrapositive and inverse. Converse, contrapositive and inverse. Okay, so you have a implication P implies Q. Then converse statement of P implies Q is Q implies P. Okay, converse is Q implies P. Its contrapositive will be negation of Q implies negation of P. Negation of Q implies negation of P. This is contrapositive, and inverse of this implication is negation of P implies negation of Q. Okay, so this is your statement. Converse statement is Q implies P. Contrapositive is negation of Q implies negation P, and inverse of this is negation of P implies negation of Q. Okay, and here some points to note, that this P implies Q and its contrapositive, negation of Q implies negation of P, these two have the same truth table. These are actually equivalent. We will define what we mean by equivalent, but informally it says that truth table for this and truth table for this same, exactly same. It means in the truth table, if you the column corresponding to this and column corresponding to this identical. Okay. So this contrapositive statement and original conditional statement, these are equivalent in that sense. And the converse or inverse, neither the converse nor the inverse has the same truth value as this implication. Okay, so contrapositive, this statement is not equivalent to converse statement. This is not equivalent to inverse statement, but this is equivalent to contrapositive. And we will show that conditional statement, this conditional statement and its contrapositive, they are equivalent. I have not defined equivalent yet, means except that I will formally define it later, okay? But for the timing, equivalent means those are same thing. And that is the truth table. In the truth table, they will have the same column. And converse and inverse statement, these two, they are logically equivalent. None of them are equivalent to original implication, but converse and inverse of a particular statement, these are equivalent. Okay. So we say when two compound propositions always has the same truth value, we call them equivalent. Now we will define it formally later. The converse or inverse of a conditional statement is never equivalent to this original conditional statement. Converse of the statement, this given conditional statement, its converse is not equal to the original conditional statement, or inverse is also not equal. But converse statement and inverse statement, they are equivalent. And the original statement and its contrapositive, they are equivalent. Okay. Now there are certain examples. Consider this proposition. If a man can march, then he is a soldier. What will be the contrapositive statement, converse statement, and the inverse statement of this proposition? Okay, this proposition, what is the contrapositive statement, converse statement, and inverse statement? So I will simplify this. I will use notations. Okay, propositional variables. If P is a man can march. This is my proposition P. He is a soldier. This is proposition Q. Okay, so this if a man can march, then he is a soldier. So P implies Q. It is given P implies Q. So what will be the contrapositive? Contrapositive of the statement is negation of Q implies negation of P. That means if a man, negation of Q is what? If a man is not a soldier, then he cannot march. This is the contrapositive statement. Okay, so easiest way of finding the contrapositive statement of a given statement is that you formalize it into this type of symbolic implication, and then contrapositive of this statement is this, and then put the statement. That is the easiest way. Okay, so negation of Q implies negation of P. This is the contrapositive of this. So you put the words now. So negation of Q will be if a man is not a soldier, negation of P means then he cannot march. Converse statement is Q implies P. Q implies P. A man is a soldier. If a man is a soldier, then he can march. Inverse statement of this is negation of P implies negation of Q. So negation of P means if a man cannot march, then he is not a soldier. He is, it should be not, he is not a soldier. Okay, so you can easily, given any implication, you can easily find its contrapositive, converse, and inverse. Okay. What will be the converse statement, or means converse statement, contrapositive, inverse statement of this Farmer's little theorem? So Farmer's little theorem says if n is prime, then a to the power n minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo n for a coprime to n. Means if n is prime, then a to the power n minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo n for a and n are coprime. GCD of n must be 1. Okay, GCD of n must be 1. So this is the Farmer's little theorem. So if I say P is this proposition, okay, n is a prime. Okay, I will put this GCD of n equal to 1 here. Okay, so n is prime and Q is the proposition a to the power n minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo n for a coprime to n. That means for GCD of an equal to 1. For any a satisfying, any integer a satisfying which is co-prime to n. So that I put this part, I will put here, okay, in this proposition Q. So it is the Farmer's-Little theorem. It is saying P, this implication P implies Q. So what will be the contrapositive statement of this? Contrapositive is negation of Q implies negation of P. And this what this stands for, this congruent operation. Essentially it means a to the power n minus 1 congruent to 1 modulo n. What does this mean? This means this a to the power n minus 1, when you divide it by n, the residue is 1. Okay, a to the power n minus 1, when you divide it by n, the residue is 1. Or alternatively, another way of saying this is that n divides a to the power n minus 1 minus 1. This means if you take one and the left hand side, a to the power n minus 1 is congruent to 0 modulo n. That means this n, when you this n divides a to the power n minus 1 minus 1. When you divide a to the power n minus 1 minus 1, that value it is giving you remainder 0. That means n divides a to the power n minus 1 minus 1. Or you can say n, when you divide a to the power n minus 1 by n, then remainder is 1. Okay, so what will be the contrapositive statement of this? Okay, so here you make the correction. This if n is prime, then this holds for any integer a co-prime to n. Okay, that so this statement should be this part I will put here in Q. So P is only the proposition n is prime, and Q is the proposition a to the power n minus 1 congruent to 1 modulo n whenever a and n are co-prime. Okay. So contrapositive statement is negation of Q implies negation of P. So if negation of Q means if a to the power n minus 1 not congruent to 1 modulo n for a and n co-prime, then negation of this will that then n is composite. So this is the statement. And actually, this contrapositive statement is used as we have mentioned that this statement P implies Q and its contrapositive negation of Q implies negation of P, both are same, equivalent. This P implies Q, this is same as negation of Q implies negation of P. Okay, and to check whether an integer is prime or not, to check that we use this contrapositive statement of Farmer's-Little theorem. This contrapositive statement, given an integer n, I will pick one element from which is less than n, co-prime to n. Okay, co-prime to n is given. N is I have to check whether n is prime or not. Okay, so n less than n, some integer I will choose which is co-prime to n, and I will compute this value. Okay, reduced modulo n. If it is not 1, then I say it is composite. Okay, so that is essentially Farmer's primality test. Used to this contrapositive statement is used to check the primality of an integer n. Okay, now let us find what is the converse statement of this. So converse statement of this implication is Q implies P. Okay, so Q implies P, it says means if a to the power n minus 1 congruent to 1 modulo n for a and n for GCD of n equal to 1, then n is prime. And similarly inverse also you can write. Negation of P implies negation of Q. So negation of P is if n is composite, it says if n is composite, negation of P is n is composite. If n is composite, then this negation of this not congruent to 1 modulo n for a and n co-prime. Okay. Okay, so this is what I was saying there, that equivalence we use this notation. We use this notation. So P implies Q. In this implication, the contrapositive statement is negation of Q implies negation of P. And these two, contrapositive and the original statement, those are equivalent. Equivalent, I will define equivalent shortly. and P implies Q. The converse statement is Q implies P. P implies Q is not equivalent to Q implies P. Okay, and inverse, it is also not equal to not equivalent to inverse. Inverse statement of this is negation of P implies negation of Q. So P implies Q is not equivalent to negation of P implies negation of Q. However, this Q implies P, the converse statement, and this inverse statement, they are equivalent. This and these are equivalent. Okay. Another one is by implication. This is if and only. We use this notation. By implication, this is essentially this denotes P if and only if Q. That means P implies Q, that implication, as well as Q implies P, that implication. This is the combination of both. P implies Q and Q implies P. Okay, so if and only if. So whenever both are true or both are false, then it is true. Otherwise, it is false. Okay, this is the truth table for by implication or by conditional. Okay, both are true, it is true. Both are false, it is true. If one is true, another is false, or one is false, another is true, then it is false. Okay. So you think whether this is same as XOR. Whether it is same as XOR. It is not same, okay? It is not same. So this is the P by implication Q has the same truth value as P implies Q and Q implies P. Okay, here. Okay, I have shown it here. I have shown it here. By conditional equivalent to this. So simple thing P Q you write. So this is true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. And P implies Q. This is all true except this case. This is when P is true, Q is false. That cannot occur. Okay, so that is in that case it is false. Otherwise, it is always true. And Q implies P. Q implies P. It will be same way. You can say whenever Q is true, but P is false. Q is true. P, this case only it is false. Otherwise, it is true. Okay. So Q implies P implies Q. P true, Q false, it cannot occur. P true, Q false, it cannot occur. So if it's false. And Q implies P, that means Q true, P false, that cannot occur. Q true, P false, that is actually false statement. Now, if you take the AND operation, these two column AND operation, this is true, this is false, this is false, this is true. And by implication table you check, by implication is true, false, false, true. So you get same values. That's why this implication and this implication, they are equivalent. This implication by implication is equivalent to this. Okay. Now here truth table. As I said, this okay. So P by implication Q may be read as if P then Q and conversely. Or it can be, you can say if Q then P and conversely, same. Okay. Or you can say P is necessary for Q. P is necessary and sufficient for Q. or Q is necessary and sufficient for P. P if and only if Q. Okay, all these are equivalent. So this is read in this way. If P, then Q, and conversely, if Q, then P, and conversely, like that. Okay, so P is necessary as well as sufficient for Q, or Q is necessary as well as sufficient for P. P if and only if Q. Okay. So truth table for compound proposition. Already I have shown with one example how to construct that. Okay, I have one more example here. Okay, so you can do it by yourself. Do it by yourselves. Okay, column P, column Q you construct. So true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Now you have to calculate this value, P or negation Q. So find negation Q. Negation Q is simply this you invert. Okay, if false, true, false, true, then you XOR them, or you get this. So this I calculated. Now you calculate this, P and Q. Immediately you can calculate. Then this column and this column you have, and then this implication you can write. So this implication means whenever this is true but this is false, in that case this is true, this is false, in that case it is false, otherwise it is true. True, false, this true, false, in this case it is false, otherwise it is true. Okay, check that thing, check this. Implication means this one true but this one false. That is actually false statement. So if this is true, this is false, it must be false. We have another case. This is true, this is false, it is false. Okay. So this way you can show, you can construct the truth table for any compound proposition. Okay. Means if you have number of propositions is limited. If you have only here, it involves this proposition, compound proposition involves only two variables. Okay, so this is easier. But if you have three variables, then we have P, Q, suppose R. Then we have how many combinations? Each variable is having two assignments, either true or false, true or false. So here you get 2 squared. So if you have three variables, 2 cube, 4 variables, 2 to the power 4, like that. Okay, 2 cube to 4, 2 to the power 4. 4 variables, that means this actually involves 16 elements. 2 propositions, you have 4 elements. 3 proposition, 8 elements. So 2 to the power number of variables. Okay. Now order of precedence. Sometimes in English, sometimes sentences have the form P and Q in English, but actually it means P and then Q. Okay, so for example, I studied for exam and I passed the exam. Okay, so this will if you say P is the proposition I studied for the exam, and Q is the proposition I passed the exam, then this essentially means, although I am having this and here, it actually means that if I studied for the exam, then I pass the exam. Means after studying the exam, then only I can pass. So this essentially means P implies Q. Although it is not written in that way. It is something like P and Q written in that way, but it actually means P implies Q. I passed the exam and studied for the exam. I passed the exam and studied for the exam. So this is essentially Q implies P. Not P and Q. This is not P and Q. Although it is the compound statements are compounded using and, it is not and actually. It means this implication. Okay, so merely knowing that P is true and that Q is true, one does not automatically know the order of the two events. Order of the two events. I studied the exam, then I pass, or I passed the exam, then I studied for the exam. Okay, so without knowing that P is true and without knowing that P is true, merely knowing whether P is true, Q is true, does not automatically know order of the two events. You cannot study, means this cannot hold, P and Q cannot hold. You cannot study for the exam and pass the exam concurrently. You study first and then you pass the exam. Okay, so you should study, that means P, then write and then pass the exam, like that. So P implies Q. Okay, so there are the precedences of these logical connectives. The precedences are given, order of precedence. So first bracket, this is the first preference, means first it has to be executed, then negation, then or, then and, then or, then implication, then by implication. Okay, so connectives inside of the parenthesis must be applied first, followed by connective negation and or implication, so on. For example, this P and Q or R, this essentially means P and Q first. You have to evaluate P and Q and then or R. So this essentially means this. So AND operation is, so you can treat this AND as dot and OR as plus. True T, true and false T as 1, false F as 0. So Boolean algebra we do this. Okay. And P or Q implies R. So precedence is P or Q, it should be executed first and then this implication. This is same as P or Q, this within parenthesis implies R. It is not like Q implication R is evaluated first and then P. The order of preference is given in this way. So you have to remember this or use the parenthesis. Okay. What I have next, this is, let me stop here. Okay.